I always believed that after 60, life was supposed to slow down. You wake up with calmer mornings, quieter evenings, and a heart that has finally learned how to rest, but the night everything changed. My heartbeat was louder than the rain hitting my window. And my life, my perfect, peaceful life, split open like a cracked photograph. My name is Olivia Hartman, I'm 60 years old, and until a few months ago, I thought I had a good marriage, not perfect. Just steady, safe, predictable in the way old marriages become after decades. I met Michael when I was 26. Married him at 28, raised 2 children with him, and spent more than 30 years believing I knew the man who shared my bed, my table, and every chapter of my adulthood. But on a cold Thursday evening in Seattle, I realized I didn't know him at all. Michael was supposedly on a business trip to Chicago, a 3-day conference with his consulting firm. He left with his usual calm seriousness, suitcase rolling behind him, giving me a quick kiss on the cheek as I stood in the doorway. "Don't forget your blood pressure pills," I called out. He laughed. "I'm not that old, Liv." But maybe he was older than I thought. Because he made one mistake that night. A mistake men make when they have grown too confident in their lies. He forgot his tablet at home. I didn't notice until evening. It was lying on the counter, dead silent, dark screen facing the ceiling like an abandoned secret. I didn't plan to touch it. 60-year-old women don't snoop. We're too tired. Too wise. Too respectful. But then it happened. The thing that changed everything. The tablet vibrated. Once. Then again. "Caroline, let me know when you're free. I miss you already." My heart froze. Caroline? Who? A coworker? A friend? Someone from the conference? I kept staring at the name like it might explain itself. But nothing explained the small red heart next to the message. My hands shook as I picked up the tablet. I didn't need a password. Michael used the same one for everything. The moment the device unlocked, I felt my stomach drop. There were hundreds of messages, and none of them were professional. I remember sitting at the kitchen table, the screen glowing against my face, reading line after line of messages that didn't belong in any marriage, especially not a 32-year marriage. Caroline wrote things like, "Your room is the same one as last time. I can't believe you told her you're working this weekend. When you hold me, I feel 20 again." Each message felt like a hammer hitting the softest parts of my heart. My breathing got shallow. My chest tightened. And for the first time in decades, I felt myself shaking like a young woman discovering betrayal for the first time. I never imagined being 60 would feel like this. Like the ground could still vanish beneath you. Like heartbreak didn't care about age, wrinkles, or anniversaries. For a long moment, I just stared. Everything around me went quiet. The world felt distant, and then something inside me clicked. A small, sharp whisper. "He thinks you won't fight back." People think long marriages are made of love, but they're actually held together by habits, routines, silent agreements. Michael and I had our routines. Saturday morning coffee on the porch, evening walks, family dinners twice a week with the kids, holidays with old friends. He wasn't perfect, but he was stable, always thoughtful, always dependable, always present. Or so I believed. Looking back now, I see the signs I ignored. The business trips becoming more frequent, the excuses about late meetings, the sudden obsession with working out, the new cologne he said his office gifted him. Was I blind? Or did I just trust him too much? Maybe both. But that night, when I opened the gallery on his tablet, I realized trust was the most expensive thing I had ever given him. Because there she was, Caroline. A woman maybe in her early 40s. Pretty. Stylish. Laughing in hotel rooms I had never seen before. Pictures Michael took. Pictures she took. Pictures of them at restaurants, airports, beaches, and then the worst one, a selfie of the two of them, his arm around her shoulder, both smiling like teenagers. The timestamp? Last month. The same weekend he told me he was in Portland for a corporate audit. I felt something in me break. Quietly. Softly. Like old glass. I remember whispering to myself, 32 years. For this? My voice cracked. I covered my mouth. My tears hit the screen, blurring their stupid smiling faces. I wasn't just heartbroken. I felt humiliated. Foolish. Like I was living in a play where everyone knew the script except me. My son Mark always told me, "Mom, Dad's career is everything to him." I never thought he meant everything, even more than us. It took me exactly 15 minutes to stop crying. 15 minutes to wipe my tears. 15 minutes to decide I would not scream. I would not call him. I would not beg for an explanation. No, if Michael wanted to play games with my life, my trust, and my years, then he had no idea what a 60-year-old woman with nothing left to lose could do. Because betrayal does something strange. It changes the temperature inside your soul. It rearranges your purpose. And in that cold, sharp silence of my kitchen, a thought settled inside my mind. You gave him your life. Now take back your power. My hands stopped shaking. Something new, something strong, rose inside me. Not anger. Not heartbreak, strategy. I didn't want revenge out of rage. I wanted revenge with precision, the kind that leaves a mark. The kind people remember. The kind people talk about, the kind that goes viral, and trust me, it did. I closed the tablet, placed it gently on the table, and took a long, deep breath. Then I said the words that began everything. If this business trip is a lie, then my payback will be the truth the whole world sees. Little did I know, millions of people would soon know my name. This was the night Olivia Hartman disappeared. And the woman who came after her? She wasn't here to forgive. She was here to finish a story that wasn't hers to begin with. If chapter 1 was the night my world cracked, then chapter 2 was the day I realized the crack had been spreading for years, quietly, silently, behind the walls of a marriage I thought was unbreakable. After discovering the messages, the photographs, the late-night conversations between Michael and that woman, Caroline, I barely slept. I didn't toss or turn. I didn't cry anymore. I just laid on my back staring at the ceiling, while a new kind of awareness settled inside me, heavy but sharp. You know that moment when the truth finally stops hiding? When it stops whispering, and it starts screaming? That was the morning after morning. The silence before the storm the next day felt unreal. The house was too quiet. The clock sounded too loud. Even the sunlight coming through the window felt wrong. I made myself coffee, black, bitter, the way Michael hated it. Funny how I suddenly enjoyed it that way. For the first time in decades, I sat at my kitchen table alone. Not waiting for him to call, not wondering if he reached safely, not caring if he'd eaten or slept. Instead, I opened his tablet again, not out of curiosity this time, but out of purpose. If betrayal was a puzzle, I planned to put every piece together. The more messages I read, the more one thing became painfully clear. This wasn't new. This wasn't a fling. This was a second life. The business trips that weren't business. Scrolling through his emails and messages, the pattern slapped me across the face. Chicago conference, Portland audit, Denver client meeting, San Diego workshop. Half of them never existed. I checked his flight confirmations. The dates were real but not the destinations. He wasn't in Chicago. He was in Fort Lauderdale with Caroline. He wasn't in Portland. He was in New Orleans with Caroline. He wasn't in Denver. He was in Palm Springs, a place he told me he hated. He didn't hate it. He just didn't go there with me. A lump formed in my throat. Years. He'd been doing this for years. I felt a strange mixture of nausea and clarity. When someone betrays you a little, you doubt yourself, but when someone betrays you this deeply, you stop doubting everything, especially them. But the real betrayal wasn't the affair. It wasn't the messages. It wasn't the trips. It wasn't even the photos. It was what I found in a hidden folder, a document Michael probably thought I'd never see. A legal template. A separation agreement, dated 3 months earlier. At first, I didn't understand. Why would he prepare this? Why didn't he mention it? Why keep it hidden? Then I saw the notes he had typed. After retirement plan final. Move funds discreetly. Keep the house. Protect assets. And then the last line, tell Olivia after the holidays. Caroline wants to move in. The words hit me like a punch. This wasn't just an affair. Michael was planning to replace me, erase me, move on from me like I was an old coat he no longer wanted. 32 years of marriage, reduced to a plan. My chest tightened, but not with sadness, with something colder, determination. If he wanted a life without me, I would give him one. Just not the way he expected. Flashback. Caroline's name appears again. I searched her name. I didn't expect much, but there she was. A public Instagram filled with flashy outfits, travel photos, wine glasses, and, the biggest slap, pictures at the exact destinations Michael had traveled for work. The Eiffel Tower, Cancun beaches, Miami nightlife, and in every caption she wrote things like, some men know how to treat a woman. New chapter coming soon. My forever person. My forever person? Was she talking about my husband? My partner of 3 decades? The man who stood beside me during surgeries, parent-teacher meetings, funerals? My hands clenched around the tablet, but then I noticed something else, something that made my stomach twist. A photo of Caroline in a red dress, posted 3 weeks ago, and the location tag? Seaside Inn, room 204. Room 204. That number was familiar. Michael once told me, Seaside Inn is too overpriced. I'd never waste money there. I almost laughed. He didn't waste money on me. But he wasted plenty on her. The phone call that exposed everything. My daughter Anna called that afternoon. Mom? You sound strange. Everything okay? I froze. For a second, I wanted to tell her everything. To break down and cry into the phone like a wounded child, but then I looked around my quiet, empty house, the house I decorated, cleaned, loved, and lived in for decades, and I remembered something. Michael didn't deserve my weakness. He deserved my silence. I'm fine, sweetheart, I said softly. Just a little tired. Anna hesitated, like she could hear the lie. But she didn't push. Okay. Call me if you need anything. When I hung up, The silence felt heavier, because I realized something cruel. Even my own children had no idea. I didn't want to drag them into the storm unless I was ready to control where the lightning struck. The neighbor who saw everything just when I thought the day couldn't get more revealing. My neighbor Jenna, a 55-year-old widow with sharp instincts, knocked on my door. She held a pie. I made too much. Thought I'd share. She smiled. Something was off in her eyes, like she wanted to say more. After a few minutes of small talk, she finally whispered, "Olivia? Can I ask you something? Is Michael okay? He hasn't seemed himself." My heartbeat picked up. "What do you mean?" Jenna looked down, hesitated, then looked straight into my eyes. I didn't want to say anything unless it mattered. But 3 months ago, I saw him at the airport. He was with a woman. A younger woman. They looked close. Time stopped. Close, that word echoed in my mind. I swallowed hard. "Do you remember what she looked like?" "Tall, brown hair, maybe early 40s. Expensive taste." She was laughing. "He carried her bag." Caroline. It had to be her. Jenna touched my hand gently. I thought maybe she was a coworker. But now I'm not so sure. I nodded, forcing a smile. "Thank you, Jenna." When she left, I stood in the hallway breathing slowly. This wasn't just digital proof. This wasn't just messages or photos. This was witnessed betrayal. A betrayal living right next door the whole time I was watering my garden, baking cookies, trusting my husband. Later that night, I opened Michael's financial statements. What I saw made my head spin. Hotel charges, restaurant bills, shopping expenses, airline tickets. All for 2.0. Wonder he told me we needed to tighten expenses. Not because we were struggling. Because supporting a second life is expensive. But then, the final blow. A list of recurring payments to a luxury apartment in Florida. I clicked the details. Leaseholder, Caroline Parker. Secondary sponsor, Michael Hartman. He wasn't just having an affair. He was building a home with her. My entire body froze. The betrayal wasn't a moment. It was a system. A routine. A structure he designed brick by brick while I folded his laundry and cooked his dinners. My hands trembled. But my voice became a whisper. Enough. Pain has a strange way of sharpening your mind. I realized something important. I didn't want to just expose him. I wanted to control the exposure. Time it. Shape it. Design it so precisely that he would never forget the moment everything changed. Because revenge isn't about hurting someone. Revenge is about clarity, making them see the truth they tried to bury. And trust me, Michael buried a lot. Before going to bed, I checked one last folder on his tablet, the one labeled Work Travel. Inside were screenshots of flight itineraries. At first glance, they looked real, but when I zoomed in on one, something strange stood out. There were 2 passengers, passenger 1, Michael Hartman, passenger 2, Caroline Parker. Even if he deleted messages, even if he wiped his call logs, even if he tried to hide bank transfers, he forgot one thing. Screenshots don't lie. He booked trips for her using the same credit card that paid for our anniversary dinner. A slow, cold smile formed on my lips, not the smile of a broken wife, the smile of a woman who finally understood everything, and a voice in my head whispered, "Now you have the map. Next, you make the move." But I had no idea that the move I was about to make would spread across the internet like wildfire. The world didn't know my name yet, but they were about to.
If Chapter 2 was the moment I uncovered the betrayal, then Chapter 3 was the moment I stopped being afraid of it. I didn't wake up crying. I didn't wake up angry. I didn't even wake up confused. I woke up ready in a way I hadn't felt in years. Ready like a woman who finally realized she had been surviving on crumbs, while her husband feasted somewhere else. That morning, I looked at myself in the mirror. A 60-year-old woman with silver streaks in her hair, soft lines around my eyes, and a calmness that felt strangely powerful. For the first time, I didn't see age. I didn't see loss. I didn't see betrayal. I saw clarity, and clarity is dangerous. The first step, becoming someone he didn't expect. He knew I couldn't confront Michael yet. A confrontation is loud, emotional, messy, unplanned, but revenge, real revenge, is quiet, patient, strategic. It happens slowly, while the other person still thinks they're winning. So I did something he didn't expect. I acted completely normal. I cooked breakfast. I watered the plants. I cleaned the hallway. I even sent him a text, "Hope your trip is going well. Miss you," a message that would have been true once, but now, it was bait. Within 5 minutes, he replied, "Busy day. Can't talk. I'll call you later." Not "I miss you too." Not "love you." Not "thinking of you." Just excuses. I smiled. This was perfect. The more normal I acted, the more careless he would become. The second step, information gathering. Every plan begins with knowledge. And I needed every detail of Michael's second life. I started making a list. Dates, trips, expenses, messages, patterns. Who paid for what? Which hotels he preferred? Which restaurants they visited? How long the trips lasted? And everywhere Caroline appeared in the picture, the deeper I dug, The clearer everything became. He was predictable, comfortable, sloppy. He thought I was clueless, but clueless women don't make spreadsheets with color-coded categories for a man's betrayal. Then I found her Facebook. Rolene Parker, age 41, marketing consultant, Florida-based, lived alone. Or so she advertised, but the posts told another story. Photo captions like, feeling grateful for my person, loyalty isn't rare. You just have to know where to look. My life finally feels complete. Complete with whom? My husband. And then, one post froze me, a picture of her wearing a silver bracelet. I knew that bracelet because I bought the same one from Michael for our 25th anniversary. He returned it, saying he preferred watches. Now I knew why. He didn't want a reminder of me in his new life. My hands tightened around the tablet. But instead of fury, I felt strategy forming. The third step, setting the stage. I didn't want screaming. I didn't want crying. I didn't want chaos. I wanted precision. So I crafted a plan that involved timing, a plan that involved witnesses, a plan that involved making sure Michael's lies collapsed in exactly the way he deserved. My plan started with one simple question: what does he care about most? And the answer came immediately: his reputation. Michael loved being seen as the stable husband, the reliable businessman, the man who handled everything. He didn't love me, but he loved how I made him look. So I decided to attack what he valued more than marriage itself, his image. The fourth step, the quiet moves. My first move was subtle. I logged into our shared bank account and opened a new sub-account he didn't know existed. I transferred small amounts. $200 here, $150 there. $300 next week. Nothing suspicious, small enough to avoid alerts. Small enough to look like normal spending. A slow build. A quiet collection. A financial foundation just for me. Then I changed the passwords to accounts that were legally mine: my personal retirement fund, my inheritance, my health insurance. Michael always said, let me manage everything. It's easier. He didn't realize he had trained me better than he intended. The fifth step, building allies without telling. Femi didn't tell Anna everything. I didn't want to drag her into chaos, but I did start calling her more, talking to her, asking about her life, reconnecting, not because I needed to use her, but because betrayal reminded me that I still had people who loved me without conditions. Jenna, the neighbor, too. I visited her one afternoon, brought muffins, asked about her garden. We chatted, we laughed, we bonded. But beneath it all, I was gathering something more valuable than proof: support. Connections, people who would stand by me without knowing they were part of a larger story. The turning point, a message I wasn't supposed to see. Days later, while Michael was in meetings, his phone pinged again. A message preview popped up: Caroline, I miss you already. Should we book next month's trip? Same hotel? Same hotel? Which one? I unlocked his phone using the passcode he forgot I knew. And there it was, Seaside Inn, room 200 for June 14th to 18th. The same place where she posted that photo in the red dress, the same room they stayed in before. I stared at the booking confirmation. And suddenly, my plan sharpened. The sixth step, choosing the battlefield. Revenge isn't just what you do, it's where you do it. And there was no better place to reveal a liar than the exact spot where he built his lies. Seaside Inn, the room he shared with her. The room he told me was too expensive, the room he used to replace me. That hotel wouldn't witness another betrayal. It would witness justice. The seventh step, a visit to an old friend. That afternoon, I visited my friend Margot, a retired attorney who still enjoyed legal puzzles. She didn't know about Michael's affair. I didn't tell her. Instead, I asked casually if someone wanted to separate quietly, what would they need to prepare? She chuckled. Oh, Olivia, thinking of making a move? I smiled, just curious. She laid out everything: shared assets, retirement funds, property division, beneficiary changes, liability proof, account statements. Evidence of misconduct events. The word echoed in my mind. By the end of the conversation, I had a list of everything I needed to destroy Michael's plan with one signature. The eighth step, the most important call that night. I called Seaside Inn. Hello, I said politely. I'm calling to confirm the reservation for Michael Hartman. I'm his wife. The receptionist checked. Yes, Mom, June 14th to June 18th. Room 204. I swallowed. And, is the room refundable? Yes, ma'am. Up to 48 hours before check-in. Perfect. I smiled. Thank you. I'll be arriving instead of him. Please add a note that his wife will be checking in. There was a pause. Yes, of course. Just like that, I took the battlefield away from him. He wouldn't be checking in. I would. The final step of chapter 3, the calm before the storm. Before going to bed, I did something strange. I sat on the couch, opened my old photo album, and looked at pictures of our early years. Michael holding my hand on the beach. Michael carrying Anna on his shoulders. Michael cooking me breakfast for my 40th birthday. Those moments were real once. But they were gone now, and mourning them felt useless. So I closed the album, stood up, and whispered to myself, "You're not losing a husband. You're losing a liar." And then something inside me clicked, a shift, a turning point, a quiet acceptance. I wasn't afraid of the truth anymore. And chapter 3 ended with one last moment of clarity. I didn't want Michael back. I didn't want to fix anything. I didn't want apologies. I wanted justice. And justice was waiting for me in room 204. I didn't sleep that night. Not even for a minute. When dawn finally slipped through the curtains, it didn't feel like morning, it felt like Judgment Day. My chest was tight, my hands trembling, but my mind was sharper than it had ever been in 60 long years of life. Grief had burned away. Shock had burned away. Even the humiliation was gone. What was left was war, and I was finally ready to fight it. A quiet morning before the storm. When I opened my eyes, the house was silent, like it knew something terrible had already happened inside its walls. My clothes from the night before were still scattered on the floor. The half-open wardrobe, the broken vase Mark had knocked down days earlier, the cold coffee cup on the table. Everything felt like echoes of a life that didn't belong to me anymore. I walked into the bathroom and stared at myself in the mirror, 60 years old. Wrinkles I never noticed before. Eyes swollen from crying. Hair messy and gray at the roots. This wasn't a broken woman. This was a woman reborn. A woman who had survived betrayal, humiliation, and abandonment. And had come out the other side not fragile, but dangerous. I washed my face, tied my hair back, put on a clean blouse and jeans, simple, comfortable, ready. Because today was the day I fought back. Step 1. The calls that would change everything. She walked into the kitchen and dialed 3 numbers. I never imagined I'd need. Point 1, my lawyer. Daniel. Rita picked up instantly. "Hello?" "Daniel," I said, my voice steady. "It's Elena. I need to talk about filing for divorce." There was a beat of silence, then a sigh. Heavy and disappointed. "Elena, I had a feeling this was coming. I'm free all morning. Come in whenever you're ready." 10 minutes, I said. He didn't ask questions. He didn't pry. He just said, "I'll prepare everything." 2. The banking needed something more important than money. I needed proof. And thank God I'd kept my own accounts separate. "Good morning," the banker said cheerfully. "I need a full, detailed transaction history of my joint account with Mark Anderson. Last 6 months, of course. Do you want it printed or digital?" "Both," I said. My heartbeat was loud in my ears. This wasn't panic, this was adrenaline. "Theory. The private investigator," a woman picked up, her voice crisp. "Cold, efficient hunter investigations. This is Valerie. My name is Elena Anderson. I need surveillance, digital investigation, phone record tracing, and background checks on a woman named," I paused, "on a woman named Rebecca. I don't have her last name." "No problem," she said. "Cheaters usually leave more digital footprints than they think. How soon can you start?" Immediately, this was happening. This was real. And for the first time since the betrayal, it felt like the ground under my feet wasn't falling apart. It was solid, solid enough to stand on, solid enough to fight on. The lawyer's office, the first blow. Daniel Reed had been my friend long before he became my attorney. He was calm, smart, surgical with his words. Exactly what I needed. When I stepped into his office, he stood up from his desk. "You look different," he said. "Determined." "I'm done crying," I replied. "Let's talk strategy." He opened a thick folder. "Elena, before we file anything, you need to know something." I waited, bracing myself. "Mark has been preparing for a divorce." My stomach dropped. Prepared? He wasn't planning to leave gently. He was planning to strike first. Daniel continued. "He's been moving funds, setting up a separate mailing address, even talking to a real estate agent. He was planning to blindside you." "Of course he was. Of course." The man who betrayed me, the man who lied to my face for months, wasn't going to walk away quietly. He wanted everything. My house, my savings, my retirement, my stability. Daniel slid a document across the table. "But you came here first," he said. "That gives you the advantage." I stared at the document. Petition for divorce, grounds, infidelity, fraud, and emotional cruelty. My hand didn't shake as I signed it, not even a little. Step 2, financial war. When I got back home, the digital bank statement had arrived. I opened the file and instantly stopped breathing. Thousands of dollars, hotels, restaurants, gift shops, random boutique charges, plane tickets, even jewelry transactions. And every one of them was made with our joint account. My money, my retirement. My life savings. He had been funding his affair with my sweat, my work, my sacrifices. I felt the heat crawl up my neck. This wasn't betrayal. It was robbery. I forwarded everything to Daniel. 5 minutes later he called me. "Elena, This is more than enough to destroy him in court. Double quotes good. Because destroying him wasn't revenge. It was justice. Step 3. The investigator calls back. Phone rang at 4:13 p.m. I picked up instantly. Elena, Valerie said. I have information. My breath froze. That fast? I told you cheaters are sloppy. Tell me, I said. And then she did. Everything. Rebecca wasn't some random woman. She had a record. She had debt. She had been involved with 2 married men before. She had a habit of targeting older men with stable finances. And there was more, something darker. Something worse, Elena, Valerie said softly. She's legally dangerous. She has sued men before. If Mark thinks he can leave you for her, he's jumping off a cliff without knowing it. I leaned against the counter. My knees weak, not because I was scared, but because something inside me clicked, a realization. A strategy, a plan that would destroy them both without me even touching them. Night falls. But I don't break this time. At 8 p.m., I sat alone in the living room. No tears this time. No shaking. No collapsing. Just clarity. Cold, sharp clarity. My marriage wasn't just ending. It had already ended. Now it was time to end his illusions. Everything he thought he controlled. Everything he thought he'd get away with. Everything he believed was his. I would take it back, quietly, legally, decisively. He wanted war? He chose the wrong woman. He chose a woman who had loved him for 35 years. A woman who had sacrificed her life for his success. A woman he thought was soft, fragile, harmless. He forgot one thing: older women don't break. We transform. We sharpen. We evolve. And tomorrow, I would make my first public move, not revenge. Not yet. Something much smarter, much colder, much deadlier. The last line of chapter 4. I looked out of the window at the dark sky and whispered to myself, Mark has no idea what's coming, and I meant it, because chapter 5 would be the beginning of his downfall. Sunlight spilled into the living room the next morning, but the air felt electric charged with a quiet intensity I had never felt before. It wasn't fear. It wasn't sadness. It was readiness. Today wasn't the day I cried over a lost marriage. Today was the day I took back my life publicly, powerfully, permanently. Because betrayal in the dark is painful, but justice in daylight is unstoppable. The morning Mark lost everything without knowing. At 9:40 a.m., Mark finally walked through the front door. I knew he'd come eventually, carefully. Strategically, like a man trying to manage 2 lives at once. He stepped in quietly, like someone entering a crime scene. Elena? He called out. I didn't answer. I was sitting on the couch, calm, controlled, legs crossed. Phone in hand. When he saw me, he exhaled. You're awake. Good, we need to talk. I smiled, small, sharp, dangerous. No, Mark, you need to listen. He opened his mouth, ready to lie again. Ready to spin another story. Ready to manipulate. But I didn't give him the chance. I placed the stack of bank statements on the table with a soft thud. His eyes froze. Then I placed the printed photos the investigator sent. Hotel lobbies, restaurant booths, car rides. The 2 of them together. His face went pale. Where did you get all that? You're not as smart as you think, I said. He tried to speak again, but I raised my hand. You used my money, my savings, my life's work. You used me to fund your affair. Elena, I can explain. You can't, I said. Because I'm not listening anymore. For the first time in our marriage, Mark realized the woman in front of him wasn't the wife he used to control. This was someone else entirely. The final strike, clean, legal, perfect. He slid a manila envelope across the table. He stared at it like it was a bomb. What is this? Divorce papers, I said. I filed yesterday. His jaw dropped. He wasn't expecting that. He thought I'd beg, cry, fight for him, collapse, but not this. Never this, Elena. Wait, can we talk about this like adults? We are, I said calmly. And Mark. He looked up. You should know something. What? I already froze our joint accounts. His face twisted. And I notified the bank of suspicious withdrawals. The investigation is open. What? Elena, are you insane? No, I said softly. Just awake. He began pacing, muttering. Panicking. Good. Let him feel it. Let him taste even one drop of the chaos he fed me. Final move. The video he never expected. Ted stormed out of the house. I expected the silence to crush me instead. It felt like oxygen. I took a deep breath, then opened the camera app on my phone. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't curse. I simply spoke, clear, steady, honest. No filters. No background music. Just my story, how a 60-year-old woman after 35 years of marriage was betrayed. How her husband drained her savings to spoil another woman. How she found courage, evidence, and legal strength. How she took her life back step by step. It wasn't revenge. It was truth. And truth spreads faster than lies. I posted it privately at first, just for a few close friends, but they shared it, then their friends shared it. and then strangers shared it. Within 6 hours, the video crossed 100,000 views. By midnight, it had crossed 1.2 million. People from all over the country, women, men, young, old, flooded the comments. You're inspiring. Thank you for telling the truth. You're stronger than you. No, your husband is done. You're a hero. The world lifted me up. In a way Mark never did. The pain didn't vanish, but it transformed into power, into clarity, into purpose. The viral aftermath. His world collapsed. Mark's phone must have exploded with notifications. His co-workers saw it. His clients saw it. Even his boss saw it. His reputation cracked. Then shattered. When he called me, shouting, furious, humiliated. I didn't answer. He deserved the silence. He deserved the consequences of his own actions. He deserved the discomfort of finally facing what he had done. Rebecca? She disappeared the moment the video hit 1 million views. She blocked him, left him, vanished. The woman he destroyed his life for was gone in a flash. The woman I became. 3 weeks later, the divorce became a legal avalanche he couldn't escape. The financial investigation exposed every hidden expense. His company moved him to a lower position. He lost friends. He lost money. He lost the life he thought he controlled. And me? I didn't become bitter. I didn't become vengeful. I became powerful. I started a support group for women in their 50s and 60s going through marital betrayal. The viral video turned into a community. People wrote to me every day, stories, gratitude, hope. I wasn't just a betrayed wife anymore. I was a voice, a survivor, a teacher, a leader. The final lines of the story. One evening, I sat on my porch with a cup of tea, feeling the cold breeze wrap around me. If someone had told me 6 months ago that I would lose my marriage, lose my peace, lose my partner, just to find myself, I wouldn't have believed them. But now I know sometimes losing everything is the only way to gain yourself back. And my final message, if you betray a woman who has loved you her whole life, be ready, because she might rewrite your ending. Imagine a 60-year-old woman living in the shadow of betrayal, suddenly taking control of everything. Here's the journey from chapter 1 to 5. Chapter 1, the night her world cracked, when the truth finally screamed. Chapter 2, when she discovered the map of betrayal and realized she wasn't powerless anymore. Chapter 3, when fear disappeared and she started planning her moves with precision. Chapter 4, the legal storm hits and she makes her first unstoppable move. Chapter 5, the viral payback. One video, millions of views, and her husband's world collapses. Imagine 35 years of marriage, a cheating husband, and all her savings used against her. And she turned it around. Smart, silent, strategic. This isn't just a story of betrayal, it's a story of empowerment, strategy, and rising stronger. If you want to feel inspired and see how an ordinary life can transform into extraordinary power, subscribe now so you don't miss any of these intense stories. Comment below and share your thoughts. Could you ever rise like this? Like and share this video so more people can witness the power of clarity and justice. This isn't just a story, it's a wake-up call. Remember, even after betrayal, power is in your hands. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and share, because the next chapter is going to be even bigger, heavier, and unstoppable.